Junior Motorsports reveals the new driver of the number 9 Xfinity Series car, and Jeremy Clements wins his Daytona appeal. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. We're talking a lot of Xfinity Series in today's episode. Also a little bit of a Craftsman truck series gonna be sprinkled in as well. I know later this afternoon, probably by the time you're watching this, the 2023 NASCAR schedule is expected to be released to the public. I'll likely do a separate video on that tomorrow. Tonight on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern time though, I'll be live streaming with some of my YouTube colleagues. It's weird to call them colleagues. They're my friends. If you tune into that, we will definitely have a large segment dedicated to 2023 schedule reaction. So I will talk about some later tonight, but tomorrow I'll have a fully dedicated episode. Just want to get that out of the way first. Also, real quick, we have to thank today's sponsor, Alka Seltzer. I've talked about them a lot the last couple of months, but Alka Seltzer is back in the sport. They've been on this show for a couple of years, but now they're on a race car once again. They're sponsoring Bailey Curry at Bristol this Friday night. We've already seen this beautiful paint scheme in action a couple different times this year. I was there at Pocono, got to do some cool stuff with Alka Seltzer, some fun meetup stuff with fans. Love having a major brand like Alka Seltzer back in NASCAR in a big way. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. The iconic brand is here. Alka Seltzer is available at your local Walmart. Thanks to Alka Seltzer for supporting the show and supporting the sport. Let's begin with the Jeremy Clements news. Get that out of the way real quick. A couple weeks back, Jeremy Clements pulled off the upset win at Daytona to clinch a spot in the playoffs, win his second career Xfinity Series race. A huge family-friendly moment for a family-owned team, only to have their hopes dashed a few days later when the team failed post-race inspection at the NASCAR R&D Center. They found an issue with the team's engine, specifically the intake manifold. Crew chief was fined $60,000. The team was docked 75 driver and owner points. Their win would not count towards playoff eligibility. Oh, a huge punch in the gut just days after an all-time high. The team quickly confirmed that they would be appealing this penalty, and today, about 10 days or so later, it's been overturned. The entire penalty wiped clean. No more fine, no points deductions, and now the 51 is, I think, the 8th seed currently in the Xfinity Series playoffs with just one race to go. Bristol, Friday night, is the regular season finale. So this is huge for Jeremy Clements and that small family-owned Jeremy Clements Racing team. Here was the statement Jeremy put out. Our small family-owned team works hard to bring a safe, legal, and competitive car to the racetrack every week and are pleased that the previous ruling was overturned. We remain focused on competing for the 2022 Xfinity Series Championship and appreciate the continued support of our fans and sponsors. Big news. Unfortunately, that now bumps Ryan Sieg below the cut line. Landon Castle now is the last driver in, going into Bristol. Happy for Jeremy though, friend of the channel. As sloppy as that Daytona race was a couple weeks ago, it was worth it staying up till like 1, 2 in the morning to see Jeremy Clements and his family celebrate a big win. I'm glad it now fully counts. Why did it get overturned? I've heard conflicting theories or reports. Bob Pockrass has talked about this being a procedural issue. If I understand correctly, winners of each race are supposed to have their engines fully torn down and inspected at the R&D Center, but there's no specific timeline for that. You don't have to do it the same week. It can be later if the engine is a sealed engine. I don't know exactly how that pertains to this specific Jeremy Clements engine, but penalty got overturned. Good for the team, I suppose. I'm just dumb about a lot of this stuff. It goes way over my head. I hope I'm not the only one who gets confused reading these rulings, reading even some of these tweets from reporters who are doing their very best to explain this. I'm still like, huh? If someone in the comments knows exactly what happened here, please share it down below. I'll be sure to pin it, like it, whatever, because I would love to know if somebody has more insight on this than I do. Now let's talk about Junior Motorsports. Last night, JRM put out a cryptic tweet suggesting the new driver of their number 9 Xfinity car would be announced soon. And sure enough, this morning, the team confirmed Brandon Jones will move over from Joe Gibbs Racing to join JRM. Brandon Jones is the new driver of the number 9. Not many other details were released. It's safe to assume that Menards and some of their associate brands will follow Brandon Jones over to the 9 car and help fund that program. Of course, the 9 car is available because Noah Gragson is going Cup racing next year for Petty GMS. So JRM's 2023 lineup is expected to be Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry, Sam Mayer, and now Brandon Jones. Not too bad. Some veterans, some young drivers still like Sam Mayer. Josh Berry's not young, but he's still pretty new to the Xfinity Series, I guess. Brandon Jones is 25 years old, but he's already in his 7th full-time Xfinity Series season. He started with RCR. He's been with Joe Gibbs Racing the past few years. He's made the playoffs 5 years in a row. His best points finish is 6th. This year, he sits 7th in points. He did grab a win at Martinsville back in April. He's won some ARCA races this year as well. Over the course of his Xfinity Series career, Brandon Jones has 5 wins. His best year by far was 2020, where he won 3 races, finished 6th in the points, set a career high with 19 top 10s. That also featured, in my opinion, his best win to date. I remember vividly being at Phoenix right before the pandemic, last race before the pandemic really hit, where he outran his teammates, I believe Harrison Burton and Kyle Busch, over the final run to secure that win. I was very, very impressed with Brandon Jones that day. The dude's a decent driver. Yes, he comes with a lot of funding, no doubt about it. But he's not bad, and in my opinion, he's shown some steady improvement over the last few years. He's still only 25 years old. He's got a long future ahead of him. He will now join Junior Motorsports and Chevrolet. This is now the 2nd driver in as many days that Joe Gibbs Racing has lost to a Chevy rival. It hasn't been a great week for Toyota. Now, I want to clarify some things. I don't think I did a good job yesterday in my video of kind of differentiating between Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota, TRD. They obviously work very closely together, but they're not one in the same. And I think Kyle Busch's departure yesterday affects both a little bit differently, and I think Brandon Jones, his departure today, affects both a little bit differently. Like I said yesterday, I don't think JGR losing Kyle Busch to a rival team is really the end of the world for that team. Ty Gibbs brings some sponsorship, he's way cheaper, and he's ready to start learning. He has a bright superstar future in the Cup Series ahead of him. Get him some laps now. So while it's a really bad look to lose your all-time most successful driver to a rival organization, when we're just talking about on-track results, Gibbs will struggle out of the gates a little bit. He's going to race like a rookie for a couple of years, but I think in the long term, getting Ty Gibbs experience in the next gen car ASAP, establishing him as the new driver of the 18, I think that's an okay play for Joe Gibbs Racing, considering they have veterans like Truex and Denny Hamlin there to help support him. Losing Kyle Busch isn't good, but if you're going to lose Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, I think, is a good young driver to replace him. So I don't think losing Kyle Busch is the end of the world for Joe Gibbs Racing, like I said yesterday. But it's a little different for Toyota. I still don't think it's the end of the world for Toyota, but Toyota's losing Kyle Busch Motorsports. And that's big because that team was basically Toyota's playground. They funded most of that team through their vendors and partners. They had a major say in who got to drive which truck every single season. Like, KBM was very important to Toyota. It was important to Joe Gibbs Racing as well, but to Toyota especially, losing KBM to Chevrolet, it sounds like, is difficult. Now, there are other Toyota Truck Series teams. Toyota has plenty of resources. I won't be shocked if there's a new Toyota Truck Series team that pops up here in the next couple of years. But in the short term, it does sting Toyota a little bit more than I think it stings JGR losing Kyle Busch. Because losing KBM means that there are several top Toyota prospects that don't really have a ride for next season, at least in the Truck Series. See, now that Brandon Jones is leaving the Xfinity Series, and we all assume Ty Gibbs is going to race full-time in Cup next year, there are now 2 empty seats over at Joe Gibbs Racing's Xfinity team. So someone like a John Hunter Nemechek could easily shift up to the Xfinity Series and drive, I don't know, the 54 next year, or the 19. The only silver lining here for JGR and for Toyota losing Brandon Jones is that it does free up some much needed space in the Xfinity Series for some of your other development drivers. It's not much of a silver lining because Brandon Jones did bring that Menards money. That's going to be tough to make up. But I'm looking for any silver lining. It has not been a great 48 hours for Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota. David Wilson, the head of Toyota Racing Development, was on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio last night, and he discussed where some of these younger Truck Series drivers that Toyota has may be going.
I'll suggest that the Toyota drivers, the drivers that are a part of our program, will remain a part of our program. Those drivers that we've worked closely with, guys like Corey Heim, John Hunter Nemechek, will will remain part of the Toyota family.
Interesting that he only names John Hunter Nemechek and Corey Heim. I thought Chandler Smith was also closely linked to Toyota. I know he's also linked to Kyle Busch and has some of his own sponsorship that goes beyond Toyota and KBM, but I guess I was surprised Chandler Smith's not being mentioned. Maybe he just didn't mention him, but I don't know. It sounds like Chandler Smith, he could follow KBM to Chevy. But yeah, focusing on Corey Heim and John Hunter Nemechek, great chance one or both of those drivers drive for JGR next year. There's also, I'd say, a realistic chance that JGR continues to downsize their Xfinity program. Just a couple years ago, they had 4 cars. They had that all-star car, and then they had Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, and Daniel Hemrick when he won the championship. Henrik left for Colleague, so they made the 18 the all-star car. Ty Gibbs took over the 54. Brandon Jones kept the 19, and Harrison Burton left. Took that Dex Imaging sponsorship money with him, and the 20 closed. There's been no 20 car on track this year, you may have noticed. So Gibbs downsized from a 4-car to a 3-car Xfinity team this year, losing the 19 and all that Menards money. I hope they don't downsize into a 2-car team. I'm sure they'd like to keep an all-star car for, Ty Gibbs, maybe for Denny Hamlin, even Christopher Bell might come back and run like New Hampshire. That's an easy win. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully they find enough in the budget to maintain 3 full-time cars, 1 for John Hunter, maybe 1 for Corey Heim. We'll see. I'm looking for any sort of silver lining because it's been a tough 48 hours for Toyota, losing Truck Series team, losing a top Cup Series driver. Man, it makes things difficult, especially when you look at these lower ranks from an OEM standpoint. I don't have much else to say. I want to close this video on a tweet from Brandon Brown, Xfinity Series driver and team owner. This is what he tweeted last night. I'm not sure what this is in reference to directly. He tweeted, "This silly season is gonna be wild." I'm thinking, gonna? Kyle Busch just left Jacobs Racing for RCRs. Is that not wild enough for you? You're suggesting something even more wild is coming down the pipeline? We know that the Kyle Busch domino is the first of many to fall. I think there will be some surprising announcements over the next few months, but I don't know, Brandon Brown teasing something there, in my opinion. Interesting. Just gonna end it with that. Thanks for watching, guys. That's all I've got. Be sure to leave a comment down below. Contrary to what some appear to believe, I do read almost every comment, especially if you're one of the first 300 or 400 to comment on one of these videos. I almost certainly will see it. I always like hearing your feedback, knowing where your heads are going, what theories you guys have for different things. I like reading them, so I do read the comments, the vast majority of them at least. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and as always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. The schedule is due out any moment now. We'll be talking about that again tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time live, and likely tomorrow in a separate video. So lots of news this week. Busy week right here in the middle of the playoffs. It's good stuff, fun stuff. Thanks for watching, y'all.